Alright guys, Always Sonic back again, and we're trying a new style of video. There's a lot of preamble to get out the way, so I'm just going to go ahead and get her started. Alright, so a few weeks ago, probably almost a month ago now, and I ended up signing up for special art classes by Learn to Draw Manga. That's what they call it. I believe Artillery Philippines is also kind of the parent company they're a part of, but long story short, online classes teach you how to make manga. That's the deal. The special thing about these classes in particular is that they actually have proper mangaka from Japan, obviously, to teach and critique you. Now that is a goddamn weapon. So when I heard that, I had to sign up. I had to sign up right quick. So this is kind of this isn't at all a sponsored video. I'm just kind of doing this on a whim, but it's not sponsored. But I am a fan and biased because I am also a student there. But essentially, how this works is every week you do an assignment, you send it in, and then they do one big video critique where they take your stuff, draw over it, tell you what you did wrong, how to improve, things of that nature. And I've been poking in the Facebook group every now and again to talk, critique, help, and all that good stuff. And I saw this, and I want to throw my hat to the ring, even though it's probably beyond what I should be doing. Because I'm a student there, I'm not a professional artist, all that good stuff. So I'm probably overreaching a bit, but I asked the student specifically who drew this, and he said it was cool, so that is exactly what we're doing. So what we're doing here is we are critiquing, remaking, and hopefully teaching people how to do better. Um, this assignment was particularly to do with the torso, which is why you kind of see my, let me actually pop up Clip Studio Paint, because I'm still in OBS right now. So we got our reference right here in the subview. It'll hopefully help us out a bit, and we will be talking about Toriyama style, but although this, I believe, was made by Toyotaro, who is now currently the writer slash artist for the Dragon Ball Super manga, famous before then for making, well, Dragon Ball AF, which I believe was a fan dojin. I've never read it myself. Never read it myself. I know a bit of the rumors behind it, I guess I should say, back during the time. But it was a really interesting story, too, by the way. Both Dragon Ball AF and kind of everything surrounding it. But that's not necessarily what we're here to do. We're here to try to improve, adapt, and all that good stuff. So, we're going to be talking about Toriyama's style. First thing that you have to notice about Toriyama's style is, at least when I was trying to learn, I did a few pages a few years ago. I still have those pages running around. They're not up anywhere, and they always still need to be inked because I'm a lazy guy. But Toriyama style is not that difficult to replicate, believe it or not. It looks more complicated than it is. Something like Koi Horikoshi style now, that is incredibly difficult. And I decided to base my style off of that, so I shot myself in the foot there. But Toriyama style is not that hard to replicate. It takes, I mean, obviously, with any style you're trying to learn or replicate or copy, it takes a while. But I'm going to show you my style for learning, well, any style. What I did on my Instagram a few years back is I would literally take screenshots from anime and I would see if I could recreate them to the best of my ability with just a pencil and pen, micron pen. I don't do dip pens yet. But first step to that is actually figuring out precisely what you're doing there. So what I would do is I would just take the layer. I'm not necessarily okay. Which one's this for? Okay, we got it. We would just take the layer, drop the opacity down a bit, and then we would trace over it. And this isn't obviously to, trace and put it on Instagram so that people think you're cool. This is so we can learn exactly how the artist decided to do what he did and why. Let me see. Usually, what I would do, because I don't really do digital art probably as much as I should. It's generally just for colors and stuff. So I have like not so much a binder, but like two pads of tracing paper that are just scribbled with all kinds of nonsense. I like put them up to my computer screen to trace whatever I needed to trace. and I would learn based off of that. So what I would do is I would trace something like, let me actually turn on a, there we go, there we go. So what I would do is I would, come on, so I would trace something like this. There we go. I would trace something like this and then right next to it, see if I can replicate it as best as possible. That's what we do. Or at least that's how we do it. But again, this particular assignment, I believe, refers specifically to chest anatomy, so we'll be talking about that. Again, not a professional artist here, but I do at least have some reference up to help us out. I will talk about this particular image in a bit. For now, we're going to do this and get started. So first things first. I suppose in my old art courses, when I did them with CGMA 2D Academy, is when my teacher would say that my proportions were wrong. This was particularly in reference to a car, because the car's body was way bigger compared to wheels than it should have been. So he recommended taking a particular part of the figure, whatever it was. For cars, it was wheels. For humans, it was heads. And then you would measure it out. So, okay, a car is, I don't know, let's call it 6 tires long. Now that you have that as a measurement, you can start doing stuff. But so with the human figure, generally we always start with the head. So how big is the head compared to everything else? You kind of have to guesstimate precisely the size of the cranium and stuff, but let's just say it's that big. Let's just say that this is the size of the head, right? We can't see. I believe this is Gohan? Question mark. I've seen videos on Dragon Ball AF, but I haven't read it myself. So I vaguely think this is Gohan. Either Gohan or Goku. I don't know. But that's another thing about Dragon Ball and Body is that they're copy and paste, I suppose. So if you learn how to do, for example, Vegeta, you can learn how to do Goku. You just have to stretch things a bit so that it actually is as tall as Goku is, which is surprisingly short, by the way. So just go ahead and triceps, all that shenaniganery. Not really focused on the hands, but we'll at least pay lip service to it. And I'm not there myself. Every student joined the class at a different time, so we're not synchronized on which lesson we're on. So I'm, for example, still on the head and face and hair and stuff. So he's a couple weeks ahead of me. So I'm not sure if they got necessarily into like I'm not necessarily sure how far he is, but we're going to talk about. We're going to go ahead and talk about. So first things first, if we compare it to this, turn the opacity down on this guy a bit, and we're just going to trace them side by side. See exactly what we got going on here. So something that I'm seeing right away, something I'm seeing right away, is not drawing through the figure. Then again, maybe we're wrong because I do see these lines right here, right? I'm seeing these lines right here. So what he might have done, this looks like this was done traditionally. So what he might have done is he drew the guidelines and then erased them. We also see a lot of flatness here. Sorry, just getting alerts on my phone and stuff. So shoulders here, and then it ends. So we're drawing through the figure. We're already starting to see issues, right? When you're doing a 3/4 view like this, let's just oval shoulders. This is perspective, right? So if this shoulder is farther away from the audience, right, it's going to look smaller. The human being might not be a square or a building, but perspective still applies, right? And of course, this is going to be a little bit longer, at least as far as the audience would be considered. Another thing we're seeing is just how flat the chest is. But again, we'll talk about chest anatomy when we get to it. But I guess we're going to get to it in seconds. What I am trying to say. Make sure everything in OBS is working properly and fine. Yes, sir. We even got audio playing. Yep, 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 yep. And again, maybe this is overstepping my reach as a student, but I do want to help. And I was given the okay by the students, so we're gonna do this. And if if it's bad and they don't want me to do it, we delete it, all that good stuff. Arm anatomy is tricky. So it's still something I'm trying to learn. Leg anatomy, I don't even want to get it. I'm not even going to get into that right now. Let me see. Let's finish actually drawing this cranium. Can't see the ear, but I'm just going to assume it's right there. And the way Toyotaro drew the hair here is going to be an absolute pain in the butt. But this is a cover page. So a manga artist would probably spend a lot more time on a cover page than he would spend on a panel, or even a whole page, like regular page with dialogue and stuff. This is also something he might work with completely on his own without the help of assistants. I'm going to need some clarification on that. I'm sure different artists have different systems for doing it. But now that we have them both side by side, we're just going to go ahead and turn off all the layers here. Actually, we're going to turn that one back on because I did not finish tracing the chest yet. I did not finish tracing the chest. The thing that's weird about Dragon Ball is Toriyama will neglect to draw the collarbone, which should go like this ish. You can even see it like right here. Right. Collarbone basically goes up to the shoulder and around the neck. Obviously, collar. Yeah. But Toriyama will specifically not do that, so that makes things trickier for me, who was very used to that. But he'll also draw the whole pack as one whole shape rather than just gesturing it with like a line or something like that. Right. And I mean, he doesn't so much suggest the muscles with lines, he'll just draw entire like freaking shapes. I believe this is Super Saiyan 5, which was introduced in the like I say, I've seen videos on it. So I vaguely remember what happens, but I haven't read the actual doujin myself, which is something that we say so. Again, turn off the layers and take a step back, and we're starting to see the difference, right? At least has the idea down. So while we're here, we're going to talk a bit about the volume, or I suppose that is basically space in how much space something takes up, right? Mass and volume are different. You can have a lot of mass, but not a lot of volume, and vice versa. The human chest vaguely, or at least rib cage, I suppose, is vaguely oval shaped, right? With like the spine running down the side. So we'll just call this the center line for the rib cage here. And then you have a back portion too, which acts as the spine. So the spine will go something like that. Collarbone, something vaguely like that, and there you go, you have it. Something like this is pretty much completely flat, right? It's basically a flat 2D board, so there's none of this going on. Well, there is a little bit, as you can see, there is a little bit of that going on, but there's no space back here. There's no space back that. So this should probably be more. Let's actually use a different. Let's actually use a different color here. How about something dark that people can see? Yeah, that makes sense. There we go. And also, the head is about the size of the rib cage. Well, eh. Vaguely. So we're just going to take the head. You can't see me doing this because I'm doing it with my fingers on my tablet. So this is going to be kind of rough here. Measure it out. So, and the ribcage should be about, huh. So just circle that. Oop. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Again, a little bit wrong, but more for learning purposes. That. I think about it, I should probably be doing this on a new layer, shouldn't I? I am intelligent and know exactly what I am doing at all times. There we go. Also, this looks to be yeah, obviously we're looking up at the guy, so use a different color. Well, the complement of red is green, so why not just use that? Now this is vaguely the top here. Muscle's going to extrude a little bit out the chest's way. You already know that. That's what that's doing. And then how does the arm attach to the chest is actually kind of tricky because, at least certainly for me, because I am a dum dum, but let's see exactly how they do it here. This image is not drawn by Toyotaro or Toriyama, so it's hard to say precisely how he would do it. To be fair, I did not look very hard, but let's see what the real image actually looks like. Let's see what real life has to teach us here. Let's see what real life has to teach us. So let's just call the arm joints about there, thereabouts, about thereabouts. And then we know it does something like this. Arm goes up into it. Bit of a pit going on right there. And there we go. And something I do see artists do is like they'll suggest like tiny muscles, like right here. So like little, they're like Y-shaped muscles. I forget precisely what they're called. Does the other image actually have that? Uh, whatever this is, anterior, apparently. Yeah, whatever that cursor word is plus anterior. So yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. You can kind of see it going on there. They have it more diamond shaped, right? Of course, this part is actually something I struggle with myself. Is what happens below the chest. I used to have an issue where my torsos were really, really long, right? My torsos were just long for no freaking reason. I'm going to go back to the other layer and go back to red. Where my torsos were really long. I was like, why is that? Because the human torso, at least we're talking about, this entire bit. The rib cage, the torso is about as long as two rib cages. So what I was doing is I was taking it from the neck down instead of the top of the chest down. So instead of just taking this bit and multiplying it by 2 and then putting it down here like a smart person, I was taking it like from here, and it didn't seem like that big of a difference until I started getting my measurements off. So you just take the size of the rib cage, put it down there. There you go. That's vaguely where it should end. Because this is a 3D shape, you go around, and there you go. And that is where the bottom of the crotch should be. And this is another mistake I was making. I would think this should be the bottom of the crotch, but instead the way I was doing it, it'd be like the halfway point of the crotch too. So I was making all kinds of mistakes. The way this person has it is it's kind of like an iron diaper. It's kind of like an iron diaper, right? Yeah, a little bit of this going on. Strangely enough, this bit here is not all that big before you start hitting the pelvis. I should have gotten a human skeleton picture so that I can actually show you precisely what I mean, but there's not a whole lot of room here. Enough to move about, but there's not a whole lot of room here. I wonder if the real image, if the IRL image has what I'm talking about. A bit. So this is about the bottom of this rib cage, and this is about the top of his pelvis, and the end and the bottom. Obviously, the bottom of his crotch is right here. So this is kind of what we're talking about. So it's kind of at this point things would go back out again on both sides. Different people have different waist size, have different waist and hip sizes, regardless of if you're male or female. Regardless of if you're male or female, it would be something kind of like that. Something vaguely in that shape. Well, it was probably more like something like that. And of course, the halfway point between ha and nya is where you have the belly button, and so on. And strangely enough, there we are. Do it back like that. Yes. Go back to this, and we'll start doing the abdominals. I've seen people do that, like different artists do it in different ways. So some artists will have like a space, like here, before they start the abs. Some artists will just put it like, and then start doing the abs right away like that. And also, while you do have a six pack, you do have these two abs which just go straight down of it. Let's just go straight down to the to the PP, essentially. How does real life do this? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I guess this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another thing about real life is humans are tricky things, so good luck when you have a body like this getting things perfectly symmetrical and perfect. Chances are you not. Okay. Oh yeah, those Y-shaped muscles I was talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Those little Y shapes. It's not so much that the muscle itself is Y shaped, it's kind of the way the shadow looks. That's Y shaped. So yeah, we're learning something new every single day. So yeah, by looking at this, the bottom of the six pack is where the bottom of the six pack is where the belly button is, right? So we had the belly button what? So about there. So we got it like this. Let's call it that. 2, 4, 6, belly button, and then straight down towards the pee. Vaguely that's what we're looking at. Let me start turning some stuff off so we can see this mess. That's vaguely what we're looking at. Kind of uncertain, as if I want to see if I can copy this, but we're gonna. I mean, I suppose we can give it a go. See precisely how it is done here, right? If I will something's up here, let me start turning stuff. Let me actually just erase this because I don't think I need this anymore. So go ahead and take your screenshots and there we go. That, all that. I hope that helps. That's what I'm trying to say as I stumble over my words as I try to figure out if I want to erase this or not. Should we get into arm anatomy now? Should we get into arm anatomy? I mean, it's not necessarily part of the assignment. It's not necessarily part of the assignment. We can get into it. Why not? Pad out the time of the video a little bit. The way he has. Am I still on green? No, I am on eraser. The way he has the arms drawn here are kind of like noodles. Of course, as we all should know, easy thing about proportion is the bottom of the crotch is basically where the wrist should be. So this is getting there. So the left arm, I would say, is correct. Our as close as makes no difference. The right one needs a little bit of help there. I make the same mistakes because I'm lazy. Don't worry, got it. Don't worry, got it. So let me see. Elbow is about at the bottom of the rib cage, right? So basically, I have it drawn, it's a little bit low. But again, these are noodles, so they can bend at any real, well, noodles not to a point where they bend, so to speak. So where does going to go ahead and put one? The bicep leads the way. I don't know who drew this image of Goku. And the character designer for Dragon Ball Super escapes me at the moment, as well as the animation director. I do not know their names. I've been told them, I do not remember them. So I cannot tell you precisely who drew that. But something that Toriyama does do is, especially for the arms, is that the biceps are very pill shaped rather than, I guess, hill shaped, I should be. So they're more like, as you see here, kind of like this rather than the, right. If we're sticking to this is basically where we have, this is kind of where the arm joint is. And there we are. There we are. At least the way this artist has it. Muscles are divided up evenly, so they're at least easy to see. And then this little chink right here. This little chink is, it's hard to draw. Even the rotation of the wrist, arm anatomy is tricky, you know. Arm anatomy, at least in chest, is fairly straightforward. Fairly-ish, I should say. There's kind of like this. So you have this noodle, right? You would have this triangular bit at the end. And where exactly this part is changes depending on the rotation of the arm. And as far as I know, there isn't an easy place to put it that you can just cheat it, right? Far as I've done, as far as I know, so painful. And of course, hands are hands. I'm not going to talk about hands because I hate hands. They suck. I don't know how to draw them either. Fire enough. Now, something I will say about hands is generally like from the top of the palm to the bottom of the palm is about the size of your face. So, well, not so much. Well, not so much that. At least for me, the bottom of my palm to the top of my palm reaches from my chin to like the tip of my nose. And then all you need to do is double that distance, and boom, you have the fingers. So let's go back to black so we can actually see what the heck's going on, right? So let me see if I got this right. And there you have kind of thumb going on here. But again, thumbs are tricky too. And just double that distance. And a trick that I was told was this wasn't at my own. This is something I picked up. I forget precisely where, but kind of like mitten hands. So you would like keep the rear three fingers together and just have the index running around. The way my thumb is set up, the first joint, well, the only joint in the thumb is about right here. Not necessarily sure it's going to be same on everyone's hands, but that's what we're going to work with. Vaguely kind of hand-like. Yeah. Very quick thing on how to draw hands. For drawing hands, what I recommend, this is what I did a few years back, is I literally just I probably found this on Pinterest. There's an image of nothing but a series of hands, and I would just draw the entire page. I would literally just draw the entire page. I would just pull up Pinterest and do it now, but whatever. By the end of the pages, you'll be at least half decent in drawing hands. Is what I'm trying to say. And then let me put this right. Huh. Alright, let's see if I can at least. How do I want to do this? I think I know. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a try. Again, my digital skills aren't as good as my traditional skills, so, forgive me and all that good stuff for messing this up as I do. Vaguely like that. And of course, something I always recommend is, of course, having some sort of gesture. I mean, you're going to get rid of it. That's fine. That's not necessarily important, but at least lets you get all your measurements down without you, going ahead and messing everything up, right? Because it would suck to do all this detail, but to find out you put the under rib cage and your elbow in the wrong place, and now you have to erase everything. So it helps avoid problems like that, right? Vaguely where it should be. Oop, there we go. There we go. Let me see. I do want to use a different color. Oh, that is the wrong button. I do want to use a different color. Well, let's use. Oops. Well, that should keep that word. It's fine. Let's use blue. Why not? And I suppose we'll call this the end-ish of the video. And of course, now that we know where the chest is, now we can figure out where the pecs go, because obviously the pecs aren't just going to be like here, right? They're going to be like out here. They're going to extrude a little from the bone itself. I'm not even sure extrude is necessarily the right word, but I mean, it gets the point across, right? I know there's also a measurement for like pecs and stuff, but I do not know that measurement. I kind of eyeball it myself, which is probably not what you're supposed to do. I didn't draw a center line. This is the back line, right? Not a center line. So I forgot to draw that, so we're going to eyeball it. We know where the neck is, so we can yeah, there we go. And because we have this, we vaguely know where the collarbone is. We just need to kind of follow that. But of course, we know not to go all the way around. So we have the shoulder. We also know that, da, da. You know what? I think that's vaguely where it should go. I think I got that right. Of course, in this pose, Gohan or Goku, I'm not necessarily sure which character. So it seems to have his shoulders up a little bit. Or at least this shoulder seems higher than this one. Then again, Toyotaro was still technically an amateur at this point, right? So things aren't going to be perfect. I mean, things rarely are. Now, he does have this little chink going on here. I think, like, this bit before you get to the curve is specifically the tricep. Like, if you do a bunch of push ups, that particular muscle will get pretty noticeable. More so than the bicep. Fun fact. How do you know this? Because I did it. Anyway, bottom of the rib cage should be vaguely where the elbow is. Also, again, you would also do a gesture for something like the arm, so something like that. And it, again, from what I've picked up over the years, you sh- you shouldn't do a gesture for the arm that's like that. You want to be a smooth line because you want to keep as much energy as possible. There's also a method, I think. Y'all remember Psyker? Was that, or am I just old? An artist named Psyker who he would do like a lightning bolt method, so it'd be like, and then he had a special way of connecting them. I'm not necessarily sure how he did it. Like, did he do it like that, or did he do it like that? Well, doing it like this doesn't make any sense because he had this empty bit. Now that you have that, you can kind of see, I guess, bicep going on. And then you would just bend this bit to wherever you need it to be, and there you go, you have an arm. I forget precisely the lightning bolt method. But again, generally you should have some sort of gesture going on with the arm so you know vaguely what you're doing with them. Of course, we only have what, one joint in our arms, so I suppose you include the wrist, that's a few joints. But we only have really 1 point, well, 1 to 3 points of articulation in the arm itself. Now there's a certain bit of freedom, especially in the shoulder and wrist. But when you're dealing with the elbow, there you kind of just got your 120-degree bend, and that's all you're kind of working with. But still, I do believe that it's better to have your gesture going on here, but not make it rigid. Because at least it gives you something to work with. And we take the rib cage, but still there. So this arm is still undersized. Still undersized. So, wasn't terribly committed to it anyway. I'll just go ahead and erase that shenanigan. Oh yeah, here's another trick. Now that I'm remembering it. Like the pec, like the bottom of the pec. Well, no. The bottom of whatever this is, I don't think this is deltoid. I forgot precisely what the shoulder muscle is. What is it called? This does not label that. Oh well. But this muscle, this shoulder muscle, whatever the crap it is, this bit at the end. Oops, let's redo that. Whatever this part is, whatever that part is, ever the bottom of that part is, should end at the end of the pecs. Right. Proportions. That's kind of what I mean by proportions. You're measuring everything against everything else. Once you know the rules, they're pretty ironclad, and you can start playing with them. And listen, my words are failing me here, but actually, what I'm saying is it's generally a good idea to learn the rules. Ta-da. So now where that ends, so we just go. There we are. And as you can see, you can even see it over here, right, where the bicep will kind of cover a bit of the torso. I can't remember necessarily what's going on over here. Let's just go ahead and erase that nonsense right quick. Let's go through the next couple layers and just erase them so we can actually see what the hell's going on. Especially if I want to draw on this again. It'd be very, very useful. Yep. I should have turned the layer off, but hey, whatever. It's what we do. It's how we do. That's gonna bother me. There we go. There we go. And as you can see, not a whole lot of coverage going on there. Yeah. What I do is once I've traced something, I'll see if I can replicate it, so to speak. And preferably, I would like to have whatever my reference is like directly next to it. Having it in sub view is nice, but I prefer having it like this close, like this. Sub view is great, but I prefer having my reference like this. And this goes down a ways. I probably have the bend a little too aggressive. Bent a little too aggressive. Oh well, that's fine. Wrist, wristband, circle. Unless we have one arm down, that's at least I would at least call it vaguely correct. And again, teachers, coaches, all that good stuff. If I am overextending my reach here, then forgive me. And something that I should say, we do have these critiquing sessions once per week. As of recording, this is Tuesday. So this is going to be critiqued by the teachers until a minute. I forget exactly when this week, or even for skipping. I can't remember when this is going to be critiqued, but there you go. Something I've also seen. Something like that going on. What's going on here? And the thing with waistbands like this is they don't necessarily cover the hips, they cover the waist. It wasn't until I started building plastic models or Gundam plastic models until I learned the difference between a waist and a hip. When people are referring to the hip, they're referring to the hip bones, the pelvis. When they're referring to the waist, they're referring to the place in between the chest and the pelvis where all the articulation and movement comes from. This part's all still chest. Well, this starts still being covered. As a matter of fact, it probably goes from like up here or something like that, and then goes down ways. Because again, there's not a whole lot of space between the bottom of the chest and the pelvis. And then the pelvis will come out. Well, again, this is a bit too high, right? Because we have the bottom of the pelvis right here. So we know that we messed up somewhere along the line. But again, it'll probably get easier, for example, if we can see what, 1, 2, 3, 4 pecs there. So we now boop, the boop. So we know there's something going on here. We also know this waistband, we're just using the measurements, are about the size of these 4 pecs. So all we need to do is bring that down. All right, so now we have the size of the waistband, which seems way bigger. Of course, at this point, I'm not so much worried about what's going on down here. I feel like it's up here where all the action is, where all the important stuff is. And again, maybe Toyotaro's getting it wrong. No, he's not. I just did. Yeah, he's not. He's not. He's not. I'm the one who's messing up. I'm the one who's messing up. I don't know. Maybe the teachers want to. Nah, I ain't gonna force it on them. But then you have this going on. The thing about pants like these is that they're very, very loose fitting, so the bottom of the pelvis can be anywhere from down here to like down here ish, the actual bottom. So the guesswork for that is infuriating. But there you go. And it's not necessarily the fault of Toyotaro. Pants like that are just baggy. But again, technically, yeah, I think what happened. I think I did my usual mistake. The waist and hip section is a bit longer than it should be. If I have my measurements right, I think they're a bit longer than they should be. Make sure everything's all right here in OBS. Yeah, I think that's a bit longer than it should be. How long have we been recording for, actually? Let me go ahead and check this out. Episode 43 minutes. This is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. And only on one drawing ramp. This is the only drawing I was going to do. But hopefully we all get the point. So I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. But let me just summarize exactly, my methodology, so to speak. You know, if I find something I want to copy or replicate, then I'll trace it first, and then I'll trace over it first, and then right next to it if possible, or on another sheet of paper, whatever the case might be, I'll see if I can copy it freehand just using my eye. The idea behind tracing it is sometimes just by looking at something you don't understand how it works. By tracing it, it's kind of an artist's equivalent of putting your hands on something, right? It's the equivalent of you just seeing how something works, but feeling it, if that makes sense. So instead of seeing all of like you're looking at a machine, right? A car engine, or whatever the case may be. Instead of just looking at a distance and watching it work, you watch it go in there, pop the hood and put your hands in there, feel around to see exactly what the moving parts are and what they possibly could be doing or things like that. Why the engineer or designer put those things in those places, right? Tracing is kind of the equivalent of getting your hands on it and then or putting your hands on it, and then copying is literally you just trying to build the machine again. Or at least that's how I think of it. Hopefully that makes sense. It makes sense in my reptilian brain, my monkey reptilian brain, but hopefully it makes sense in everyone else's brains too. Anyway, that was this critiquing session going on. So I think we're good to end it. Did want to go into like face anatomy and how to draw like Dragon Ball style faces. I might say I'm not sure if I'm going to do another one of these. I'm not sure if this video is going to get me into that much trouble. So I'm not necessarily sure. Also, I'm not necessarily sure what to do about the hair because replicating this nonsense 100% accurately and faithfully is not even something I can do. I kind of pride myself as being a human copy machine, but even even I don't think I can do that perfectly. Matter of fact, I can guarantee I cannot do that perfectly. But we can do something, right? I think what I should do is end it here, and if we want to get into Dragon Ball faces, we can get into Dragon Ball style faces, or I guess any real manga. But yeah, I'm pretty happy there. I hope y'all learned something. I hope someone learned something. I hope I helped somebody around here, and I hope what I said made sense. Right? I hope what I said made sense. I mean, I might keep this image around, but whatever. I'm gonna call it there. I'm gonna call it there. Hope this doesn't get me in trouble. And I will see y'all next time.